As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Hey everybody, welcome to the show and to the Sunshine State, where today we're in the panhandle of Florida. We'll be visiting two different deer farms and showing you some big old deer.
I'm Daniel Bontrager from Marianna, Florida, and I own Bontrager Whitetails right here in the panhandle of Florida. Bontrager Whitetails is a combination of a hunting preserve and a breeding operation. In the breeding operation, we probably have 60 to 70 deer between does, breeder bucks, yearling bucks, and upcoming fawns.
The people that are in the deer farming business come from all walks of life. I think that's what's so neat about it, and the thing that brings everybody together is their love of the whitetail deer. You know, Daniel is a chiropractor by trade, and but he loves deer as much as I do, and probably as much as you do. And never in his wildest imagination would he have ever thought that he was going to be able to do this, have a preserve, have a deer farm, and it's all because of the love of the whitetail deer.
Almost every morning, the first thing I do is get my cup of coffee and then walk out through the pens and look at the does and the fawns, check the does that are about to fawn, check all the bucks, make sure they're not injured, or look at all of them and make sure there's not one laying up in the bushes with his head down and his ears down, and just walk through and just enjoy the natural beauty of what these animals bring. And it just gets better every day. I never get tired of seeing these animals. I never get tired of watching them. And we learn a lot about their behaviors when they're up in these up closer pens. And it all still is a wild animal. They just get where we can see them.
Get you some cookies.
Yeah, the does are trying to say, hey, don't forget to give us some cookies. But no, every single time we go to one of the deer farms and we're filming, I want to point out that we actually throw everybody off. And what I mean by that is that every morning a deer farmer's going to go to his pen, so he's going to check his deer, and the deer are very used to that one person or those two people coming in to check deer and feeding them. When we come in, it's going to be me, it's going to be Daniel, it's going to be the cameraman, so we're really kind of getting them off their game. So sometimes the deer can be a little bit spooky and they kind of settle down, but these are some really nice yearling bucks, and the thing I like about them, they're clean and typical. A lot of times people wind up saying, you know, the deer need shade. Absolutely, they need shade. The more shade in the pen, really, the better. I mean, you want it to be open enough that you can see them and you can observe what's going on with them. But
come on, boys.
This pen right here has got a lot of good shade for them, and shade kind of keeps them calm in the middle of the day, especially down here in Florida. You look at these bucks and you would think these couldn't be in Florida, but they are. This is the panhandle of Florida, and got some really nice deer. But right now he's treating them with cookies, and what that is, it's a daily treat. Okay, some people wind up using peanuts, some people use golden deer nuggets like I do, or cookies. And what that does, it gives us an opportunity to actually take a look at our deer and make sure that everybody's feeling good. If Daniel's out here treating every single morning, he knows these deer, just like you know your dog or you know your kids, you know the way they act. And when you come in the pens and you're looking at the deer and one of them's off, one of them's laying back in the corner maybe, his ears are down, he's not acting right, you know it, you can take some treatment to get him feeling better. But every deer farmer treats their deer on a daily basis so they can get a good eye on them and make sure everybody's doing good. Matter of fact, the deer, it's really important deer wind up having feed all the time. You want these deer, especially this time of year, they're almost done growing their antlers, but you want the deer, these bucks, to be eaten all the time. You want them to have food 24/7 available to them. I tell people I feed my deer this time of year like hogs. I just pour the feed to them.
Come on, boys.
Every morning I come out here, usually about daybreak, and walk through these pens, look at the does, look at the fawns. In the spring, of course, we're checking to see which does are fawning, which fawns need to be tagged. There's 14 bucks in this, 14 yearling bucks in this pen right here. They were all born and raised right here in these pens. Almost all of these are out of artificial breeding. There's a few of them that are off of backup bucks. I just enjoy coming out here and watching the sun come up, listening to the birds and watch these majestic animals. As far as I'm concerned, there's not an animal around that's more impressive than a white-tailed deer. We just enjoy watching them grow.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Record Rack Deer and Elk Feeds, the North American Deer Farmers Association, Advanced Deer Genetics, Beam Fence Company, New Dart, Divine Genetics, North American Deer Registry, Protect the Harvest, Headgear LLC, Newport Laboratories, Superior Milk Replacer, and Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics. Viewer feedback is presented by Protect the Harvest, Protect the Hunt. This is from a viewer off of our website by the name of Lynn. Lynn's from Alabama. It says, percentage-wise, how many deer farms that you feature on the show are the farmer's sole income? Great question, Lynn. Not very many. Most of these people that we go and we do shows on, they're professionals in other walks of life, unless they're retired. So the percentage-wise is very small as far as the percentage of people that are making 100% of their income off of deer farming. The cool thing about deer farming is it attracts people from all walks of life. People that are retired, people that are school teachers, people that are chiropractors like Daniel. And the neat thing about deer farming is the fact that it enables you to take a piece of property that only had little bitty deer on it, say years ago, to having some big deer on it today.
I've been a chiropractor for 33 years right here in Marianna, Florida, and certainly the deer operation is not my occupation. It is first and foremost my passion and my most enjoyable thing that I do through the course of a day when it comes to relaxation and pleasure. I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would have bucks like we have now and have does with pedigrees, with DNA verifications that go back 4 and 5 generations. But that's just all part of the learning process that we went through, and we just kept pushing forward until we have some really good stuff here. And the good news is every year it gets a little better.
Tell me about these bucks in here.
Well, that biggest one out there, that's the wide one with the big drop tine on the left side, that's a 4-year-old buck. He's an Escalade grandson. We actually live bred him here, and we like him because he's got a lot of mass on him, and he's just a big bodied deer too, and we like big bodies as well.
What about the other ones?
The other one that has a drop tine on the left-hand side, he had matching drops, but he broke one off a couple weeks ago. That's a 747 son.
Okay.
And he's out of one of my does that we produced here. And
how old?
He's a 2-year-old.
Okay.
All the rest of them in there are 2-year-olds, other than that big drop tine.
Okay. All right, see, what you're obviously trying to go for is frames, isn't it?
Big frames.
Yeah, because I mean, you wind up taking a look at that 4-year-old. I mean, he's got a really nice frame. You say Escalade?
Yes, he's an Escalade grandson.
Okay. So I'm assuming if you're going to sell these deer to a breeder, you would have them in the registry, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But they're not all in the registry now?
No, they're not.
And why is that?
Well, some of those aren't considered to be breeder stock,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's why they're not registered.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to tell everybody if they're not considered breeder stock, and these are
Okay.
really nice deer, tell everybody where they're going to go, what happens to them after they leave this pen.
Well, we'll release them into the preserve to enhance the genetics of the native population out there. There are a few native Florida deer out there, and they are not going to have nearly these characteristics, so we can vastly improve what's there with this stock, even though we're not selling them as breeders.
Okay, well that's a good point. You know, what happens is there's a lot of big deer on the market. Not all of them are going to be breeders, but they're.
That's true.
And what we're talking about breeders as far as selling to other breeders who want the best of the best of the best genetics, but they're still fantastic genetics, and they're a whole lot better than the native Florida genetics for doggone sure. So they're going to be wind up released in the preserve.
Yes.
And they're going to help you out there. All right, question. What do your neighbors think? I mean, what are your neighbors thinking when they see these great big old deer and nobody else has got them?
Well, they always ask, what do you feed them? And I have to explain to them, it doesn't matter what I feed them, it's genetics.
Well, I know out in the preserves you've got a bunch of peanuts planted. I mean, those
Yes.
peanut fields look beautiful, little yellow flowers out there and
Yes.
all. I mean, this is the time of the year the deer are really hitting those peanut fields, isn't it?
They are in there every day and they feed for hours in there, and it's great nutrition, it's high protein, it's great digestible nutrient. They just really get fat and just top off those big antlers. It's just good stuff.
This is the time of year too that we can jump up in one of the stands, and about an hour or two before dark we can just look out there across the peanut field and just you see all these big deer. And in looking at this video you would think, well, where are these guys? I mean, you think maybe in Kansas, maybe in Oklahoma, maybe in Texas, but this is the panhandle of Florida. This is the spot that you wouldn't expect to see big deer like this in a preserve, because it's all about deer farming. It's all about genetics.
Most people ask about that. They want to know where these deer came from. What they don't understand is 99% of them were born right here on this property, but they are the result of artificial breeding and a little bit of imported deer back before the border was closed.
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly it's working. Okay, if somebody would like more information on coming out here and visiting you, whether it's coming out and looking at the deer in the pens or going out and looking at deer that are in your pastures, I call it, out in the preserve, give them a phone number and a website.
850-526-8280, and my website is bontragerwhitetails.com.
I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you're gonna come out here and you want to go in the preserve, and you want to take a look at it, or you maybe want to hunt in the preserve, the cool thing about this piece of property is you're likely to be the only hunter out there. There's not going to be anybody else. They're not going to stack a bunch of people in here on top of you. You're going to pretty much have free reign over the whole place, won't you?
That's how we do it. We specialize in one-on-one. Unless you bring a friend with you, or if you bring a family member, then it's one-on-one on the whole place. And I'm here to make sure that everything goes like it needs to. I'm here to guide the hunt. We take care of the trophy afterwards. It's just a one-stop deal.
There you go. And the location is less than an hour away from the Panama City, Florida airport. Closed captioning provided by Keith Warren's Texas Hidden Springs Ranch. Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute.
I'm Mark Beam from Beam Fence Company. Today I'm going to show you how I stretch wire. The way we stretch wire is kind of unique from other companies. We designed and patented our own machine. What's special about this machine is it lifts up the wire and stretches it as you go as the tractor moves ahead. The machine allows us, when we're going up and down hills, to be able to maneuver the machine in a position that allows the wire to stay straight and follow the ground. With 27 years of experience, if you've got hills, mountains, swamps, whatever you've got, we've been through there, we've dane it. This is a patented piece of equipment that we build. If you want more information about this machine and my company, you can contact me at beamfence.com.
Well, Sweetwater Plantation is a family-owned and operated deer breeding business. We have evolved over time, started small and gotten bigger. We've been following the Florida market, and the Florida market is strong right now, and we're very appreciative of that and excited.
I meet lots of different people going to all these different deer farms, and everybody's passionate about deer. They better be. And but there's one person that I met on this trip, Martha Deason. She is incredible. I mean, take a look at the way that she works with these deer. She loves these deer.
I'm Martha Deason. I'm co-owner at Sweetwater Plantation. I taught school for 38 years and I retired, and I never thought in a million years that I'd be raising deer.
Come on, Chainsaw.
And this is my second career.
Come on. Come on. Come on, fellas. Come on, Honcho.
My job is to make sure that the deer are healthy. I feed the deer every day, clean the water troughs, and I check the overall health. And if there's a problem, I take it and tell my husband or my sons, and then they come and take a look at the deer, and then they can assess if anything's wrong. We have a deer on our farm. We call him Pie. He's a piebald, and he's, I believe, 7 years old. And when he was born, you know, piebalds have different problems. His problems were in his knees. They were twisted. We had to bottle raise him and keep him inside for about 6 months. We wrapped the knees every day, and so he learned to walk, and they straightened out. And he throws really big bucks. And you'll see one of his sons that we have on the farm here, his name is Honcho.
My mother is a retired school teacher, and she is the heart of our operation. She is the one that is in the pen every day. She's the one that is taking care of our deer, that are watching over those, and she takes great pride in cleaning the feed troughs and feeding up every day, to the point of where if we get in her way, she lets us know that pretty quick.
The thing I like about the deer farming industry is that it's a family-run industry. If you take a look at all the people that are out there, whether they're in Pennsylvania or Texas, I mean, the people that are out there, it's a family farming. It's family farming in the 21st century. If you're ready to get started in deer farming, go to deerandwildlifestories.com and click the Get Started Deer Farming tab. We just left Daniel Bontrager's farm, and now we're driving right up the road to visit Sweetwater Plantation, where we're going to get to meet the Deason family, and we'll show you some pretty incredible deer. Right now, I think the Florida market is probably one of the best markets as far as the deer farming goes in the entire United States.
Our goal is to grow some of the best, cleanest, prettiest deer that's available in the Florida market. We're excited with the genetics that we're able to bring in to Florida, and we're happy with where we're at and where we're going.
All right, so who's this buck?
Well, this is Honcho. He's a deer that was born here at our farm in Florida, and he's 7/8 Texas genetics.
Wow.
He's really got a really pretty look, and we're really proud of that.
How old is he?
He's 4 years old this year.
You got him in the registry?
He is in the registry, yes. He's DNA certified.
Okay, so we can go back and we can take a look at the pedigree and see what he is. Now, I mean, he's beautiful. You mentioned Texas genetics, 7/8 Texas, that's good. I know most of your deer, or many of your deer on this farm are Texas genetics. Explain why.
Well, we have found that in our environment here in Florida, what works best for us is Texas genetics. And so that's why we have tried to emphasize that in our breeding program. It's another reason why we have tried to associate with some of the top breeders in Texas and try to bring some of their genetics to Florida.
Texas genetics have really helped Florida deer farmers out big time.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. We have found that it works best for us, and so we have decided to basically put our business plan based upon that strategy. And we're finding that there are demand here from other breeders and from preserves who are specifically looking for Texas genetics because of their hardiness and their ability to withstand our warm climate,
And
as
bugs.
well as the bugs that we have here in Florida.
Okay, well, if somebody wants more information, what do they need to do to get a hold of Sweetwater?
Well, we have a website, and I certainly encourage people to visit that. It is sweetwaterdeer.com, all one word. And then my son Jim, his telephone number is area code 850-643-6743. And I'm Terry, and my number is 850-643-7749.
Okay. Now, if you want to contact him, I want you to know that every single thing on the farm is for sale. Every single thing, except for one thing. So one thing is not for sale. Why don't you tell him what that is?
Well, that's my dear wife, Martha. She has retired from teaching school after 38 years, and now she's embarked on a second career. And since she has come over, our deer have never been healthier, happier. We're just so excited. They're calm, as you can see now.
Did you ever think that this was going to be a part of your life years ago?
No, this is just one of those things. We never embarked on this grandiose plan that, hey, we're going to become deer breeders. It just kind of evolved over time, but we're very happy to be involved in the business. And now is a really good time to be in the business nationally, and particularly here in Florida. Things are really taking off in Florida, and we're excited about that.
If you've got any questions or comments about the show and you've been watching online, go ahead and post them below. We'll get back with you. If you're watching on TV, I want to invite you to go to my website where you can watch every one of our programs 24/7. My name's Keith Warren, and you've been watching Deer and Wildlife Stories.